So conflicts, I would say, are kind of a necessary part of living together with someone for the first time. I don't think that actually having a conflict is a bad thing. I think it's really about how you resolve it. For a lot of people, this is the first time that they're living with somebody, and especially in the dorms and things like that, it can be really close quarters. So conflicts do come up, but I think that it's really more about kind of coming to a common ground with the people that you live with. And people think that, oh, okay, I have a conflict with my roommate, and so that's the end of it, that's not wrong, and I'm being a terrible roommate, and it's not true. It's just about can you talk it out, kind of thing.
Especially when you're coming into residential life and you're living with a new roommate, there's definitely a lot of people who come in with different perceptions, different backgrounds, culturally, geographically, etc. And so a lot of people have different perceptions of maybe what's normal, what's annoying, what's polite. And so it's pretty normal for people to come in and have some sort of conflict. It doesn't have to be major.
So I think that one of the big things that I see, especially with folks living on campus, is that they don't know how to first address a conflict. And that, I think, is one of the biggest pitfalls, because if you don't address your conflict, you can't resolve it.
The more you hold something in, the worse it is for yourself and potentially for a roommate as well.
It can kind of make the situation worse if you're passive about it, because the chances of your roommate knowing that it's bothering you are pretty low, and you're just going to kind of hold on to that frustration, and then anything else that your roommate does is going to continue to bother you, and you're probably going to end up having a really big argument about something that's really not that big a deal if you had just addressed it at the beginning.
Always talk about things and be really communicative from day one. I think it's really important to set ground rules day one, and just form kind of a rapport with your roommate. I mean, you don't have to be best friends, and you don't have to even be friends. I think that a lot of times just coexisting relationships work tremendously in dorms. And so I think it's really about just making sure that you have a rapport enough with your roommate so that you're comfortable bringing things up, even if it's a really tiny thing, like a tissue didn't land in the trash can or something. What I've experienced personally is that things kind of build up over time, and then there's you just have this massive conflict explosion towards the end of spring quarter, which always happens, and I see it all the time as an RA as well. And then you're spending the whole year not really enjoying your living space because you're thinking about all these things that you haven't told your roommate. It's all in the way that you say it, I think. So as long as it's said gently, as long as it's said from a place of understanding and wanting to understand that other person, I think just being able to talk about those things consistently throughout the year is so much better than having a big conflict at the end.